If we are looking for a tough tropical vine with lots of color, we have found it. Bougainvillea plants are tough as nails, which includes their nail-like thorns. These plants put on a spectacular show of color in spring on their fresh new growth. What many people think of as the blooms of Bougainvillea are not actually blooming at all. The showy paper-like structures are a modified leaf called a bract. These three bracts hide the true flowers inside, which are small, trumpet-shaped flowers in whites and yellows. The showy bracts are typically found on new growth, with the biggest display following their winter dormancy. Typically, we will see the best display of blooms following a dry winter. If we are using Bougainvillea as an indoor houseplant, make sure to keep the plants mostly dry during winter months. Bougainvillea does well in any soil type. It blooms best in full sun and when on the dry side. It is a very drought-tolerant plant. It can be killed to the ground during a freeze but will usually regrow with the onset of warmer weather. Since bougainvilleas are tropical natives, make sure they get plenty of suns. Some varieties can handle part sun but will not perform as well as they could in full sun. In less than full sun, plants will be much more sparse and have a less than spectacular flower show, if any at all. Keeping your bougainvillea in full sun will keep your plant blooming. If our plants are getting out of hand, pruning and maintenance are best done in the fall before a new growth cycle. We can also sporadically trim rangy stems as needed throughout the year. If we haven't had a significant show of blooms recently, try giving your plant a drought period by withholding water. This can sometimes trick our plants into a dormancy period and trigger new blooms. If we plant bougainvillea in the ground, make sure these plants have well-drained soil. They do not like to remain wet for too long. When looking for a home for our bougainvillea, think about how we plan to train it. These are vigorous growing plants that can quickly take over a wall or garden area but can be trained and maintained to fit the desired setting. Bougainvillea can also be used in containers and trained as a shrub or sprawling ground cover. Bougainvillea is an aggressive grower with a naturally informal character. It is lovely beyond compare when allowed to scramble over an arbor or a wall. It can withstand heavy trimming, but it does flower on new growth and blooming may be slowed when pruned in hedge form. Try to plant it where the sides can be allowed to grow and weep while keeping the top at the preferred height for the best of both worlds. The best choices for a hedge or the Elizabeth Angus or New River variety. Because of bougainvillea's woody habit and vigorous growth, these plants lend themselves very well to being manipulated and trained in a variety of ways. The most common, especially in tropical areas where plants are hardy, is to allow these plants to climb walls and trellises. This is the simplest way to display the wonderful blooms of bougainvillea. They can also be used in hanging baskets with minimal care. Because these plants don't have tendrils, they do need some manipulating, but as a hanging basket plant, no training is needed. Bougainvillea also make fantastic topiaries. Since they are so fast-growing, it is easy to create tall topiary plants with minimal effort. On a smaller scale, bougainvillea can make stunning bonsai specimens. This takes time for many years, but with relentless pruning, some unique bonsai can be made. The most persistent and damaging pest of the bougainvillea is the bougainvillea caterpillar. This pest is also very active right now and is eating the new leaves of the damaged bougainvillea as fast as the plant can put them out. It is about 1 inch long and is green in color. It eats the leaves, giving the plant a tattered look. If the leaves are tattered, treat right away since the plant will decline rather than recover from the cold damage. When we touch the plant, the caterpillars drop unobserved to the ground, leaving most people wondering what is eating their bougainvillea plants. The brown moth which lays the eggs from which the caterpillars develop is about 1 1/4 inches in length. The moth is busy laying eggs during the warmer months. Chemical controls include thuricide, dipel, or 7. Dipel and thuricide are a more natural control using Bacillus thuringiensis, which will control only caterpillars and will not harm the beneficial insects such as parasitic wasps.